Why does it feel like April lasted like 7 days? I don't know. This is episode 4. It's titled Low Key Losing It. And I'm low key losing it if Molly and Issa don't get their shit together. Honestly, because low key, this could have all been wrapped up in 2 episodes. So the scene opens up with Issa. She's on Facebook and completing the invites or whatever. I'm guessing it's Schoolboy Q as the headliner. Personally, Schoolboy Q could not get me to an event. I wish maybe, well, I'm guessing that's a realistic option for Issa. But I don't know. I'm just not a fan of Schoolboy Q. What about y'all? Y'all a fan? Anyway, while she's doing that, she gets a knock on the door like it's from the police, but it's actually her tenants. And they're all showing up at her door because the water is off. And we can basically see that, throughout this entire season, that Issa isn't that good of a property manager. I actually be forgetting that that's her job. Like, I thought that creating the block party was her job, but that's basically just kind of like a charity nonprofit thing, right? So they all walk into her apartment and they just start complaining and reading her, and then the little boy is just like reading her too. And then we get to, the header, and then we get the outlay of LA, and we find out that there's 1 more month away till the block party, finally. So the next scene takes place at Molly's. She's doing some work and she gets a knock on the door. It's Asian Bae. It looked like a planned evening, but it looked like she forgot based on her reaction. So yeah, they're all lovey-dovey and, clearly it's a planned night and it looks like they're about to get it on in the bedroom. And honestly, I can watch them get it on all the time. I was actually hoping for a sex scene, honestly. While they're making out, Molly doesn't seem into it, and then he says, "Your mind's still on work, right?" She's like, "Yeah, I just need to finish. Just give me till 9. Just give me till 9. We cut fast forward to Molly finishing up her work, and she flips over the phone, and it says 1:42. The rudity of it all. Like, seriously, if I was Andrew, I mean, I kind of would have reminded her of something, but he just, knocked out in bed sleep. I'm just like, damn, Molly. So she hurries back to the room, doesn't even apologize. Like, she gets in bed with him, and I mean, it looked like he didn't even care. I mean, he wakes up and they get it on. All right, so next scene we have Issa, and she's, again, planning the party. She gets a call about the flyers being due by 5 o'clock. And this reminds her to hit up Condola. Now we get a little screenshot of her messages to Condola, and it looks like Condola isn't responsive. And if y'all remember, they started out in the season like this. So that's kind of weird. Also, if you look at the phone and pause it like I did, you can notice that in November is when it started, like the very end of November, and I'm guessing after Thanksgiving, when her and Lawrence got into that little tiff, that's when Condola stopped answering Issa's messages in a timely fashion. So yeah, it looks like it's December 5th or 6th, and Condola messages 1 time after 5 messages. And it says, "I'll call you after work." So then I'm guessing she didn't call her, and Issa calls her, no answer, and she leaves a message. And then she also leaves a text message afterwards saying that she called. As you can see, the context clues in this episode is building up. All right, we're at a next scene with Molly at her job with her co-workers, the female co-workers. And it looks like, they're all getting along. Everything's good. We get a very, very, very fine gentleman named Bennett who walks in. And they're commenting on, "Oh, Molly, have you hooked up with him?" And she was like, "No, he's just like a mentee that I had." And I guess she implied that he prefers white women or Abigail's or something like that. Later on, she gets a text while she's talking to them, and she cancels on Andrew again. Next scene, we have Issa trying to park, and we notice that Molly is right behind her trying to get the same spot. Now, honestly, I think Issa had majority of her car in the spot. So they keep going back and forth until Issa's just like, "Girl, you can have the spot. I'm just gonna make a block around the neighborhood." While this is going on, Nathan calls her. Yes, Nathan. And went to voicemail. She's listening to it as she's walking up. Nathan's saying that he wants to go to the block party because he hears it from Andrew. Now, I'm wondering, are they going to bring Nathan back? That would be interesting. I couldn't trust someone who ghosted me like that. Like, of course, like I definitely wouldn't. And being friends, I don't think I could do it. So Issa and Molly, they both meet up. We find out that they're going to Tiffany's to go look at the baby because she finally had it, thank God. We find out that the self-care Sundays aren't happening anymore, and they actually just have to change it. And they agree on, oh, well, is this day free for you, or do you still want to do it? And it was like, yeah, I still want to do it. And we both know. Well, we as the audience know that it's not going to happen, and their friendship is clearly drifting further and further apart. So we cut to a very weird scene between Lawrence and Tiffany's husband Derek as they're looking at Derek's newborn baby girl. Basically, it just showed me that men ain't shit. Like, you got to have a daughter to realize that, oh man, what I've been doing to women, that's someone else's daughter. A fuck nigga with a daughter. I mean, that's a fuck nigga's greatest karma right there. We also find out that Derek really wasn't planning on having a kid with Tiffany this early. Like, they're trying to develop the side characters. I'm trying to get something out of it because it just seems like the plot is going so slow. So we get our first scene, with Tiffany, Kelly, Molly, and Issa. Tiffany's talking about childbirth and how bad of an experience that was, and motherhood, and her friends. Molly also talks about her relationship with Andrew, and it looked like she's giving the ladies advice. And then Issa cracks a joke on that, and everyone's laughing except Molly. And Molly looks like she's taking offense. And Issa's like, it was a joke, Mika. I hope y'all got that reference. So when Molly and Tiffany leaves the room, Issa asks Kelly, like, is something going on with Molly? Like, she's just been off lately and just been coming at me. And I'm just like, why don't they just talk to each other? I don't know why. But then Kelly, she doesn't really elaborate on anything with Kelly. And Kelly's just like, oh, girl, like, Molly just probably going through something she's taking out on you. Like, I'm sure y'all gonna get over it. I guess. I mean, I kind of just wanted them to just hash it out right then and there. But they don't. So Lawrence motions Issa to come outside to talk. We cut to Molly and Tiffany talking in the kitchen. We see the little text on the bottom of the screen that she's, where she's rain checking Asian Bay yet again. So Molly asks Tiffany, is anything going on with Issa? Like, it just feel like, she coming at me, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, here we go again. Tiffany actually makes sense and says, there's probably just a communication error right there between y'all. Like, y'all should just talk it out. And I'm wondering, why haven't they? Then we get a shot of Molly seeing Issa talking to Lawrence. So we're outside with Lawrence and Issa Issa's discussing with Lawrence that Condola's been a little MIA lately. And he goes to tell her something that's involving that, but Issa gets a phone call saying that her headliner dropped out. And she's all flustered and shit. And when she gets off the phone, she asks Lawrence, oh, well, what were you telling me? And he was like, oh, it can wait. And us as the viewer, we know that it had something to do with Condola. And I'm pretty sure it has something to do with her headliner as well. But we go to the next scene. So the next scene is Issa at her apartment. This is the funniest mirror scene that I've seen. The funniest mirror scene that I've seen. Yeah. It's the funniest mirror scene that I've seen in the whole series. Where her reflection just bucks up on her. Like, that was the funniest part of the episode to me. Then we get a little montage of her trying to get through all her contacts and find out how can she replace her headliner. So next we get to Molly's date with Asian Bay, and she's saying, oh, thank you for being so flexible, and today I'm all yours. And she goes to planning out their entire evening when he says, oh, well, I have plans with my boys later. And she was like, but I'm here for you. But he was like, yeah, but how would I know that? And I can totally see his side. I'm just like, if I'm constantly an afterthought, then I'm going to make plans just in case. Like, let me tell you, I've been in so many situations where I've been the organized person, and I'm like, okay, well, let's hang out Tuesday. And I'll clear my entire schedule Tuesday to hang out with this person only for them to cancel. And then I don't have shit to do. And between all this, I've had friends that be like, oh, Chris, you want to do something Tuesday? You want to do something Tuesday? And I was like, no, I have something to do. Ooh, that fucking grinds my gears. It really does. But enough about me. But yes, Andrew basically says he doesn't know where he fits in with Molly's schedule. And he's like, you want me to cancel? And then Molly, passive aggressively says no. And then we get to the next scene. In the next scene, we get Issa having lunch, and then she gets the idea of an artist that works for Live Nation. She's like, oh, I know someone who works for Live Nation, Molly's Asian bae. So she calls Molly, and she's like, girl, I need to talk to you. And then Molly is like, oh, yeah, I do too. And she thinks that Issa's calling for a different reason, maybe to check up on her, maybe to talk. But then she finds out that Issa needs a favor, and that's when Molly's just completely turned off, and she's grilling her about like, well, what did you do to make the headline quit? And I don't know, it just seems like more and more contention is just building. She reluctantly agrees to ask Asian Bae about the artist. Issa's really grateful, and then Molly's just like, yeah, girl, I got some work to do. I'll talk to you later. Next scene, we're at Asian Bae's house. Andrew, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about. And she comes to his doorstep and basically apologizes for making him an afterthought, and he's just saying that, yeah, like, don't even mention it, because he's dealing with Molly. Molly says that, she's just not used to having a relationship this long. And she even says, normally I would have been messed it up by now. Now, see, I believe Issa said the same thing, but she took it the complete wrong way. So yeah, that was just curious to me. Later on, we get to the scene where she's calling Issa and telling her that, you know what, I'm not going to ask Andrew. Which Issa is just flabbergasted by. And Molly's reason is she wants to keep parts of her life separate from that relationship. And Issa's like, what? And she's like, yeah, I just care too much about this relationship. The phone call ends abruptly, and Issa's clearly pissed. And she just was like, yeah, okay, I got work to do. That's fine. It looks like their friendship is basically like almost like it's just this much left until shit hits the fan. So as Issa gets into the shower, she's in such a rut that she doesn't even want to talk to her reflection. She just wants to take a shower. She goes to walk in the stall, and the water starts pouring a shitty brown. And that's where the episode ends. Now, my immediate thought was, it's so weird for Molly to tell Issa no when the reason why Molly met Andrew in the first place is because of Issa. So that was weird. Second, I would say Condola's absence from this entire episode. It looks like she ain't shit. It looks like she basically, something happened after Thanksgiving to where she's taking it out on Issa. And I really want to know what Lawrence was going to say. And I'm thinking that maybe he said he's still in love with Issa. Like, I really don't want them to get together. I really don't. Again, this episode felt shorter than last week. And it really is a problem. Like, a bunch of this shit in the episode that went down could have went down in 10 minutes. I don't get why they are dragging this plot so slow. I'm looking at the time right now. This episode was 26 minutes. And with 26 minutes, they got through telling 10 minutes of plot. I don't know. Like, it's frustrating me because with Sex and the City was 30 minutes, and they had 4 characters that they fleshed out every episode, and it didn't feel short. It felt like an hour episode. So I'm wondering, like, what is going on with Insecure in this way of storytelling? It just feels real short, and it's frustrating for me and my homegirl. I'm also frustrated that the supporting characters aren't getting fleshed out as well. They're just there, you know? Like, Kelly has her one-liners, and that's it. I want to know more about Kelly, you know? Tiffany's kind of like an afterthought, but honestly, she always was. I gotta say, like, this was my least favorite episode of the season. I mean, of course, you know, it's funny, it's a little entertaining, but I'm just getting a little frustrated, because I felt like they could have done so much more. Like, they could have told us so much more story with the time that they had. So next week is the block party, and hopefully some shit goes down, and I don't feel like this episode was 5 minutes. It really felt like, you know, like a YouTube short, a skit, something on Quibi. I don't know. Do y'all agree? Let me know in the comments. I didn't really like this episode. So yeah, hopefully next week is better. I will see y'all next week. Like, comment, and subscribe. I got my Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo if you want to donate. But yeah, see you later.